March of 2001, I was reading a book called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff About Love.
Okay.
And it said, ask your significant other if there's anything that you would change about me, what would it be? So we were in Lawrence and we were eating at Quentin's, and so we got in the car and he just started driving, and I said, hey, I have a question for you. And he's like, what? And I said, well, if there's anything that you would change about me, what would it be?
That's a dangerous question.
And he said, well, that I wouldn't be so afraid of losing you. And I said, you're absurd. I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
And he just kept driving down 6th Street, and there were tears. And my husband doesn't cry. And there were tears, like, all over his face. And I go, what the hell is going on with you?
Right.
And he was like, well, I might have a child. And I go, what?
Uh-oh.
What the hell?
Uh-oh.
How am I just finding out about this? How old is this child? What's going on?
Yeah.
And he's like,
well, have a child.
The paperwork is at my house. I haven't opened it yet.
Because I'm scared.
And I said, and let's go open it. And he goes, I'm not ready. And I was like, well, when are you going to be ready?
Wow.
And so we went back to his house, and he opened it, and I looked at the picture of Layne, and I go, oh my gosh, why did you need genetic testing? This is your baby.
It's like Maury.
And I said, do I have permission to call Nicole, who's Layne's mom? And he was like, well, I'm not going to do it. And I was like, well, you got to do it.
So,
and so
the status of you two, boyfriend, girlfriend at this point?
We are boyfriend and girlfriend, and we've been boyfriend and girlfriend for almost 18 months.
So it was serious.
It was serious at that point. I don't think we would have ever gotten married but for Layne, because we both grew up a lot once we found out about Layne. But I called Nicole the next day.
Very true.
And I said, hi Nicole, my name is Trina, and I am Jason Nudson's girlfriend, and we would really like to meet his daughter. And so she called me back, which now that I deal with paternity cases all the time, I'm shocked. And no, she is an amazing human being for actually calling me back.
Yes.
And she called me back that evening, and I was at Jason's house, and I went into his bedroom, and I was talking to her for about 30 minutes, and I scheduled a time for us to go out to her apartment to meet Layne. And I came out, and I said, well, Jason, we're meeting her in 3 days. You need to talk to her mom. And he's like, oh, no. And I was like, oh yes, you're going to talk to her.
Wow.
So he talked to her, and then I went to Baby Gap and spent like $500 and said he needed to pay me back because I love clothes. And he was like, well, do you think this is overboard? I'm like, where the hell have you been for the last year?
We have to make up.
So we went there, and we opened the door, and Nicole ended up writing a Father's Day poem to Jason about this, because literally Layne ran to him. She was already walking at the time. It was 3 days before her first birthday. And then Nicole, of course, was very nervous to, oh my gosh, right? That I don't even know this guy really.
Right.
And so she invited us into her apartment to spend time with Layne while she was present. And then on a couple of occasions we were at her apartment, and she would leave and then come back.
Okay.
And then she allowed us to take her out. We lived in Lawrence, and she lived in Overland Park. So then she allowed us to take her around in Overland Park a little bit. Okay. And then eventually she would allow her to come to Lawrence and spend time, but generally speaking, she would stay at my duplex rather than Jason's apartment, because I wouldn't give her a bath in his tub. She was so small, she could do it in the sink, but not his tub. But so our relationship grew. Nicole began to trust me, and so the Layne Project, then the purpose of that was to help others who were in similar situations. And when my husband said, why do you want to call it a project? And I'm like, yeah, because this has been a project.
It's ongoing.
So,
wow.
That was the history of the Layne
That is
Project.
beautiful, Trina.
Thank you.
Yay. So, number one, how mature is that, right? The fact that you three adults were able to come together and figure it out.
It's not just the three of us. Nicole had a boyfriend at the time, Matt, and that's who her present husband is, Matt. So I would literally have to give all the kudos to Nicole rather than anyone else, because given who I deal with now, sorry.
No, you're fine.
It was very selfless of her to not begrudge me for making that call.
Yeah.
And opening her arms to allow me to be a part of Layne's life, who is now graduated. At Layne's 16th birthday party, she asked me to be a part of that, and it was an all-girls event. And I turned to her and I said, Nicole, how did you do this?
Wow.
Because I did silly things, like I would take Layne to go get her fingernails painted, or I would, things that I would be really pissed off if Jason and I got divorced. I have 3 kids of my own now, but if she took, if we got divorced and then the stepmom was doing the things that Nicole allowed me to do with Layne, I'd be infuriated. And I said, how did you do this?
Yeah.
And she said, well, because I saw that it made Layne happy, and that's all that really mattered. So I'm not saying that Nicole, Jason, Matt, and I have this picturesque, perfect relationship that it's all unicorns and rainbows, because it's not.
Right.
And there's a reason that Nicole and Jason never lasted, because their personalities clash quite a bit. But it's just, she is the amazing one in that regard.
Tell me about some other programs that you all offer.
So we offer a myriad number of programs. We do supervised parenting time. Like idea kind of spun from what I experienced with Layne and how that actually progressed and how that could be helpful in trust building. We do supervised exchanges. And so one parent will drop off the child with a licensed social worker who stays with the child for 15 minutes, and then the other parent arrives to pick up the child.
Okay.
Originally that was usually ordered in just protection from abuse cases, but it really has spun into something that's very helpful to the court, because we'll have a child who holds on to a parent's leg and no, I don't want to go see daddy, or I don't want to go see mommy, and then as soon as that parent that's dropping off leaves, the child's perfectly fine, right? So the parent that is dropping off is really scared because they're seeing their child say, no, I don't want to leave. And then we have the other parent arrive and they're like, mommy, daddy, right? And so that's very helpful to be able to see. And then at drop-offs, we can process with the child, so did you have a good time with mom, dad, or whatever? And so we can find that third-party perspective.
Which is so important,
yes.
Because we know what we always say, there's his side, her side, and the truth.
And the kids, they love it because we're in a house. And so literally some will take off their shoes, they'll just make themselves comfortable. Hopefully we don't have to stay involved for a long time, but there are many cases that have been here for quite some time. And the kids become very comfortable. We have a picture board of the different workers we have here, so they'll point at who their supervisor is, etc. So we also do monitored visits, so that drop-in. So they had supervised parenting time, they're progressing forward. So we do those drop-ins. We do custody evaluations, so where a social worker gets involved, meets with mom, meets with dad, calls collaterals, and make recommendations on how the parent should share the child. We do an individualized education program, so oftentimes there's orders that a parent goes to a parenting class. Well, I take the perspective that anyone can sit in the back of a room, take notes, and get a certificate. It's really the hands-on work. So we will have a parent educator meet with the parent 6 to 8 weeks. We'll create a curriculum based on that parent's specific needs. So
you all are doing amazing work.
Well, thank you.
I didn't know that you all did that.
Yes.
Okay, finish, sorry.
So trying to hit on all of the programs that we have.
You have like 6 sheets out there.
Yes.
I mean, mediation? Are you doing
We do
mediation?
mediation.
Okay.
We do domestic case management. So,
okay. That's hard. I feel like that is being a case manager, like, because that's basically what it is.
Oh yes, that's what it is.
I mean,
it's that used to be 80% of my practice. And in 2015, when I said I can't do this anymore, and I started doing the cooperative parenting program, it kind of renewed my spirit.
Gotcha.
Now case management, and I do my case management work through my law firm. Bridget Jenner does her case management work through the Layne Project.
Interesting. Okay. Because, I mean, you are basically, you're mediating things in a way. I mean, you're solving disputes.
You're arbitrating.
You are. You're.
And it's on a daily basis.
Yes.
And you're expected to be available all the time.
Yes.
And there are days that mom hates you. And then there's days that dad hates you.
And then there's days where they both hate you.
Yeah, and so mom says that I favor males, and dads say that I favor women, and I just decided I guess I don't like people. So I'm not liked a lot, and that becomes exhausting.
It does.
But really, it's not about mom or dad, and it's not necessarily. I mean, it is about the child. So say thank you, and it just makes it better. I'll never forget. I was doing a supervised visit on Father's Day, and the little girl just turned to me and looked up to me and said, "Thank you for letting me see my daddy."
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh,
and it's
so
those
worth
moments,
it.
And they don't come often.
No.
But when they come, we have to relish them and think about them in our minds when we're reading the angry email from parents.
Yes. So I think that is all the programs. They're all on our website. So what I've been trying to do as a need arises to figure out how can I fulfill that need.
Absolutely.
If I was a GAO on a case, what would be helpful for this particular family? What I come across is when I'm wearing my attorney hat, I have no one to refer. Like, I can't send them to the cooperative parenting program because that's a conflict. I'm like, okay, how can I piece together a program similar so that I can have my GAO kiddos' parents get what they need too?
So we need more people to be innovative, and if you have a particular passion or skill, create a program, right, to fulfill the need.
I mean, it's so, it hasn't been easy, but
you've done it 10 years.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing, Trina. Amazing. And so you are my first interview, and I thought that it was befitting because you have done just important work, and we all know what's happening within the child welfare system, but I don't think a lot of people really understand just the many details that go into trying to make sure that children are safe, trying to make sure that they're happy and healthy, and that relationships are maintained and boundaries are created. And so what you're doing, I just think it's very important. So thank you for taking the time today.
Thanks.
Yay.